So glad that you're here. As a reminder, we will be recording the service except during prayers. If you need any technical assistance, please reach out to any of us, including Terry, who's listed as tech, so that we might be able to assist you. We acknowledge that the Lenni Lenape are the original people of this land, and they lived on this land in harmony with each other for thousands of years. So we are glad that you're with us wherever you're joining from. And we just invite you to settle in as we prepare for the coming of Christ. I hope you can be cozy in your own space as we create a community of gathered people, even virtually. We're so grateful for this technology. This morning, we will be blessed with actually 2 prelude songs that Kyoko Makino has recorded for us. The first is Silent Night, and the second is Jesus, Oh, What a Wonderful Child. So please sit back and allow her gift and this music to usher in the spirit of worship. Thank you so much, Kyoko. That was wonderful. So we did get 2 volunteer readers for our opening sentences. We need 2 more for our Advent candle lighting. So if you're interested, do let us know. That comes a little later, so we have a few more minutes for you to muster up your courage. Our opening sentences are going to be read. The leader part will be read by Whitney, and the people part will be led by Care. And that's just the one screen, and you are welcome to join in at home. Thank you both.
Oh, sorry, we need to help you get unmuted. So, got it? Are you okay? Great.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. The presence of God is found not in abstract heavens, but here in the earth of things.
In the shrill cry of life first emerging from a womb.
In communities that gather round.
In the land that holds us and the water that enables us.
God is found in the possibilities of new life to come.
Possibility for relationship.
Possibility for intimacy.
Possibility for seismic shifts around us.
Come, let us rejoice with anticipation, open to transformation. Amen.
Amen. Thank you both so much. At this time, Linda will lead us in our opening song. We got 1 more volunteer, so we're just waiting for one final one. So let us know if you want to be that person, and also make sure you have your candle lighter and your candles nearby.
Thanks, Priscilla. My name is Linda Noonan. My pronouns are she and her. And I invite you to join me in this wherever you are. And as I've been doing the last couple weeks, and I know some of you have danced this or seen this danced in our sanctuary, feel free to raise your arms up in rejoicing when that time comes, or move in any way that feels right to you. O come, Emmanuel. Our hearts long for an end to this lived hell. We mourn for those in exile here, and notice all the ways that God appears. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel. God's with us in the places where we dwell. O come, O wisdom from within. We're weary and it's so hard to begin. But here collective knowledge shows and teaches us the way to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel. God's with us in the places where we dwell. O come, O weaver of new schemes, as we create, imagine, build, and dream. In play and protest, prayer and song, a tapestry of justice that is strong. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel. God's with us in the places where we dwell. O come, O shelter, sanctuary, home. Stir us that none will find themselves alone. Call us to sacred spaces of rest and solidarity for all oppressed. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel. God's with us in the places where we dwell. O come, O cosmic unity, we find you in community. In land, in creatures, galaxies, in children and in our own beauty. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel. God's with us in the places where we dwell.
Amen. Thank you so much. It was good to see some movement from some people as we rejoiced to that song. Before I deploy Linda to help, I just want to see if there's one more person who's interested in being a reader for our Advent candle lighting. Jamie's going to be our voice 1. Do we have any takers for voice 2? I see Rhoda's hand. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Thank you. Today, make sure you have your candles after we hear the readers read responsively. Remember, you're free to join in from home, and then we will light our Advent candles.
God's love is like an open door.
God's love is the streetlight that guides us home.
God's love is a warm bed to fall into.
God's love is a table with room for you.
God's love is a crackling fireplace.
God's love is the sun that streams through the windows.
God's love is the roof over our heads and the floor beneath our feet.
God's love is a home for all.
Today we light the candle of love to remind us of this truth.
May it burn brightly in this space and even brighter in our hearts. Amen.
Amen. Thank you both. And you can feel free to light all 4 of your Advent candles if you have those. And if you just have one, that's fine. And if you don't have any, then you can light them in your heart. Okay, so want to share some community announcements that you should know about. We want to thank our worship team this morning. Terry is on tech and has been working tirelessly on our hybrid worship preparation. Ian is our greeter, and we're so grateful to have both of them with us this morning. If you are feeling particularly thankful in this season, we invite you to make a special Christmas offering. You can do that the usual ways. We will put in the chat the way to do it online. And you can just indicate Christmas offering to make sure that we designate it appropriately. And we thank you for your generosity. Hybrid Christmas Eve service is happening. There are 2 services. We have limits to the amount of people that we can safely have in the sanctuary. So it's a 50-person limit. There is the first service is at 4:30, and we have 18 slots left. And then our 6 o'clock service will be the only one that is also live streamed through Zoom. And we have 30 spaces left open for that. So the link for the pre-registration will be put in the chat and also through our all church email list. So please, as you make your plans, if you plan to gather with us in the sanctuary, go ahead and sign up so that we'll know to expect you. So this next announcement is about us returning to in-person worship in the sanctuary. We are planning to do that next week, although we are being really cautious, as all of you, I'm sure, are aware and have heard. There is currently a spike in COVID cases, and we want to be extra cautious, as we've been trying to be all along. So we're going to invite some people together to just brainstorm and try to gauge people's comfort level about whether this is the right time to return. We thank you for your continued patience. We know we all want to be together, and we're really excited to be able to have the equipment now for hybrid worship. So we will keep you posted. We hope to gather again soon, but we obviously want to be really thoughtful about that. So thank you for your patience. If you have any feedback, questions, comments, in addition to the pastors, Church Council wants to know about it. So we've designated an email address, churchcouncil@chestnuthillunited.org, as a suggestion box. If you have any feedback, feel free to reach out to that address. Prayer requests can be sent to prayers@chestnuthillunited.org. We continue to have a fundraiser with the beautifully photographed stained glass from our sanctuary. Photographs were taken by Ed Trays, and they make a really, really great gift. I know, I try to still be old fashioned when I go to someone's house and have a hostess gift. So we have those available for pickup, and we encourage you to consider those as a gift that will help benefit the church. They will be available on Christmas Eve. We'll have them there. And if you want them in advance, just reach out so we can talk about how to get them to you. They are $15 for a pack of 8 cards. And again, they make a great gift. And then our final announcement is about our Christian Ed Task Force. We're trying to assess our educational needs for children, family, and adults in this moment. If you have the capacity to join us for a team that will just meet for a short while to make some recommendations to Church Council, please reach out and let me know. At this time, we are looking around the room to see what kids we have with us and who might want to check in and say hello and share anything that's going on with them. No pressure. We don't like to put pressure on the kids who do show up.
And actually, Priscilla, I'm changing the settings now because people might not be able to unmute yet, but that's coming.
Oh, great. Any kids in the space that want to check in and tell us anything that is going on with you or how you're feeling as we approach Christmas?
I have one.
Just here, but my video's not working. It's Lucille.
My video's not working.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me who it is?
Lucille.
Hi, Lucille. That's okay. We can hear you perfectly. What would you like to share with us today, Lucille?
I'm my 3rd gymnastics competition yesterday.
How did it go?
Good.
That's so exciting. Did your parents take any video?
No, but they took pictures.
Awesome. That is so great. That is very exciting. We're super proud of you, and we're so glad that you shared that with us. Thanks, Lucille.
Do
you want to say
I want to say something.
What is?
Go for it.
Who are you?
I'm Wesley, and I do karate every time, every day, except Wednesday.
You go to karate every Wednesday, Wesley?
No, I go to karate every day except Wednesday.
Oh, that's even more impressive. That's a lot of karate.
Yeah, I like karate a lot.
That's so cool. Do you have a colored belt?
Yeah, it's a yellow belt.
That is so exciting. Thank you for sharing. We're super proud of you, and we're so glad that you enjoy karate. I think that Emma wants to share.
So I slept over here at my grandparents' house yesterday, and I got my Christmas tree yesterday because we're always kind of late for the whole Christmas tree thing. And I think we're gonna go on a walk later today.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. Is your tree small, medium, or large?
Medium.
That is a lot of fun. Well, we are so happy for you that you get to hang out with your grandparents and that you're going to go for a walk and enjoy some sunshine. You know, you're never too late. You're just on time with that Christmas tree, I say. Thank you for sharing with us, Emma. Take care. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to hand it over to Linda.
Thanks, Priscilla. Oh, it's so good to hear those updates from the kids. For our first reading this morning, I'll be reading The Blessing for the Longest Night. So we're just 2 days away from solstice, which is in this hemisphere, the day when we have the most darkness before our part of this planet begins to tilt toward the light. So this is Blessing for the Longest Night by Jan Richardson. All throughout these months, as the shadows have lengthened, this blessing has been gathering itself, making ready, preparing for this night. It has practiced walking in the dark, traveling with its eyes closed, feeling its way by memory, by touch, by the pull of the moon, even as it wanes. So believe me when I tell you this blessing will reach you, even if you have not light enough to read it. It will find you, even though you cannot see it coming. You will know the moment of its arriving by your release of the breath that you have held for so long, a loosening, of the clenching in your hands, of the clutch around your heart, a thinning of the darkness that had drawn itself around you. This blessing does not mean to take the night away, but it knows its hidden roads, knows the resting spots along the path, knows what it means to travel in the company of a friend. So when this blessing comes, take its hand, get up, set out on the road you cannot see. This is the night when you can trust that any direction you go, you will be walking toward the dawn. And our lectionary reading this morning from the Gospel of Luke, the first chapter, verses 46 to 55. And Mary said, "My soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior. For God has been mindful of the humble state of this servant. From now on, all generations will call me blessed, for the Mighty One has done great things for me. Holy is God's name. God's mercy extends to those who fear them from generation to generation. God has shown strength with their arm, scattered those who are proud in their innermost thoughts, brought down the powerful from their thrones, and lifted up the lowly. God has filled the hungry with good things and sent the rich away empty. God has helped their servant Israel in remembrance of God's mercy, according to the promise God made to our ancestors, to Abraham and his descendants forever." People are moving, crossing borders, traveling in groups or going it alone, scurrying under cover of darkness, fighting the blazing sun by day and freezing cold by night, Some manage to get their papers in time, some get registered. How many never make it? Even as we are gathered here on Zoom this morning, lighting our candles, listening to Christmas music, people are traveling, fleeing, crossing borders. Some children, some men traveling alone or together, some families. This is the time of year when we remember the story of a pregnant woman and her partner. They've left their home, but they've not reached their destination. She is full term, ready to deliver at any moment with nowhere safe to stop. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Our text this morning comes right before this, right before we see this family struggling through the night, trying to cross the border in time to be registered, when suddenly she goes into labor, far from home and in search of a safe place to deliver her child. But before we see Mary fleeing and laboring and giving birth in a dangerous place, we hear her singing. Little does she know that at 9 months pregnant, she and the man who may or may not be the father of her child would have to travel 70 miles across rugged terrain from their home in Nazareth to his ancestral home of Bethlehem, because the Roman emperor issued an edict that all people needed to be registered. This at a time when Jews like Mary and Joseph were persecuted, subjected to the whims and rages of both the distant Roman emperor as well as the in-your-face Roman army who had occupied Palestine where they lived. Mary's future would have been bleak. Back then, when an unwed teenage peasant girl was found to be pregnant, it usually resulted in devastating retribution from the community. In Matthew's account of the story, we're told that Joseph was quietly planning to call off the wedding. And according to the law at the time, Mary faced the very real possibility of being stoned to death for adultery. Our text is known as the Magnificat. Magnificat meaning not magnificent, but to magnify, to grow, to enlarge. It comes from the first word of the Latin translation of this text, my soul magnifies the Lord. The Magnificat is Mary's song. It's one of the oldest songs in the liturgy of the church. For centuries, members of religious orders have sung and still sing these words every day. It's the very first Christmas carol ever written and the longest set of words spoken by women in the Christian scriptures. And it has been banned in some parts of the world, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Many of us grew up with the image of Mary as a sweet young teen in the church, being picked for the Christmas pageant, wearing a blanket or towel from someone's basement or linen closet in that particular shade of blue, Virgin Mary, meek and mild. And we were given a spiritualized message. But instead, how about envisioning her as a struggling young woman from the margins, singing defiantly to God through her tears, fist clenched in an unknown future? Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German theologian and a Christian who would be executed by the Nazis. He talked about how people of faith and moral conscience needed to be the spoke in the wheel against injustice. And he spoke about the Magnificat in a sermon during Advent in 1933. He said, "The Song of Mary is the oldest Advent hymn. It is at once the most passionate, the wildest, one might even say the most revolutionary Advent hymn ever sung. This is not the gentle, tender, dreamy Mary whom we sometimes see in paintings. This song has none of the sweet, nostalgic, or even playful tones of some of our Christmas carols. Instead," Bonhoeffer writes, "it is a hard, strong, inexorable song about the power of God and the powerlessness of humankind." What if Mary isn't that silent actress in the Nativity, the passive womb for God, or the well-behaved girl who never made a fuss? What if she's an angelic troublemaker, a spoke in the wheel, a woman claiming her holy power, laboring, literally laboring, to bring love into the world, and trusting in a God who has her back and will carry her through? What would a young woman look like to you if you imagine her? I want to show you very briefly some of the ways that some artists have imagined her. I enjoyed this week just looking at a couple renditions of how some other folks have thought about and envisioned Mary. So I'll just share a couple brief pictures. The the last of those images, the black and white images, are from an artist named Ben Wildflower. And I particularly love those. In one, Mary's actually punching a many-headed demon. And another, she's climbing through barbed wire. Just really incredible images. Maybe just to get us thinking in some new ways about Mary. In this song, the Magnificat, God scatters the proud, upends the rulers, feeds the hungry, and sends the rich away empty. In this piece, this Magnificat, Mary's talking about a new economic order, God's economy, where everyone has enough and no one has too much. She expected God to bring about amazing reversals, turning things upside down, restoring justice, and honoring those the world had made invisible, untouchable, poor, hungry, homeless, countryless, without papers, without registration. This God of Mary's, or our God if we dare, is not just a vengeful, angry sadist who sits on a throne taking pleasure in calling the shots. This God that receives Mary's cries and her song and her raised fist is more like a powerful mama bear, enraged when her little ones are threatened or in danger. But this mama bear can't do the work alone. Like Mary, who sings because she sees how she is participating in God's holy unraveling and re-raveling, we also can be part of that amazing reversal, what our Jewish siblings call tikkun olam, the repair of the world, repair that starts with love. On the fourth Sunday, we light the Advent candle, and it's technically known this week as the candle of love. And we remember God's love for us, God's love for the world. Mary's song, the Magnificat, is about love. This past week, the world lost an incredible teacher, a writer, a feminist, a prophet. Her name was Bell Hooks. She wrote about love. Love is profoundly political. Our deepest revolution will come when we understand this truth. When we choose to love, we choose to move against fear, against alienation and separation. The choice to love is a choice to connect, to find ourselves in one another. Mary's song, our text for this morning, is about love, and it's about a love that would not be kept silent. One of the best posts that I've seen this whole Advent comes from a young woman named Cole Arthur Riley, who is the founder and writer of the Black Liturgies. It's an amazing project that seeks to integrate dignity and lament and rage and justice and rest, all within the practice of written prayer. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, I strongly recommend it. It's called Black Liturgies. This Advent season, she wrote something that has just taken off and been shared so many times in so many spaces. She wrote, "I take so much delight in the silence of men in the Christmas story. Zechariah can't speak, Joseph doesn't speak, while the world and emotions of Mary and Elizabeth are unapologetically centered. The sound of Advent is the voice of women." I really love that. In Advent, in our scriptures, it's the women that are calling out. They console and connect, they instruct, they proclaim, and they sing. One of the songs that people just love at Christmas is the song, Mary, Did You Know? If you don't know or remember it, it goes something like this. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would one day walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would save our sons and daughters? It's got a really beautiful melody, and I hate it. I hate this song. It's so mansplainy. Mansplaining, if it's a new phrase to you, is when a man explains something to a woman that she probably already knows in a condescending way. Yes, Terry. Here, a man is writing a song about Mary that says, hey girl, did you know how big a deal this all was? That you'd have a baby who would change the world? During Advent, the pages of progressive women and queer pastors and other folks, their Facebook pages light up with banter about this song. One sassy pastor rewrote the first line from Mary, did you know? To Mary freaking knew. If we listen again to the Magnificat, it's not a plaintive cry from a woman who's hoping she'll have a normal kid who will get into a good school. Mary's singing about her own power, about the power that she carries within her, literally in her body. And she's also singing about toppling the establishment as we know it. Jesus was executed for this kind of language. It's radical stuff. So radical that this text, one of the central texts in our Christian tradition, was banned in at least 3 countries at some point. While many of us, at least I, grew up with the tone-policed, muted, saccharine version of Mary, those struggling for liberation around the world have identified with the vulnerable, gutsy Mary and her vulnerable, gutsy God all along. So, for instance, during the British rule of India, people were not allowed to sing the Magnificat in church. It was against the law. In Guatemala, just in the 1980s, believing that this text would incite the impoverished masses, the Guatemalan government banned any public recitation of this portion of the Gospel of Luke. And in Argentina, after the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, whose children had disappeared during the country's dirty war, the mothers were placing the words of the Magnificat on posters throughout the capital. And then the military junta outlawed any display of this passage. When we can begin to see her as millions of peasants, campesinos, and madres have for so long, Mary's courageous song of praise becomes a radical resource for those seeking to honor the holy in the middle of the suffering and real conflicts of life. So, on second thought, maybe we could ask Mary if she knew. Did she have any idea what her words would mean for generations to come? Did she know that her song would ignite the passions and the power of peasants around the globe? Did she know that her own outsider status would give the most marginalized hope? That her own vulnerability would be a source of strength for so many others? Or that her witness could help so many people, maybe even us today, understand our own belovedness in God? I want to close with a rendering of this same text by my colleague and spiritual leader and co-founder of the Enfleshed Project, Reverend M. Barkley, who rewrites this text. My soul is alive with thoughts of God. What a wonder. They're liberating works. Though the world has been harsh to me, God has shown me kindness, seen my worth, and called me to courage. Surely those who come after me will call me blessed. Even when my heart weighs heavy with grief, still, so does hope abide with me. Holy is the one who makes it so. From generation to generation, love's mercy is freely handed out. None are beyond the borders of God's transforming compassion. The power of God is revealed among those who labor for justice. They humble the arrogant. They turn unjust thrones into dust. Their wisdom is revealed in the lives and truths of those on the margins. God is a feast for the hungry. God is the great redistributor of wealth and resources. God is the ceasing of excessive and destructive production that all the earth might rest. Through exiles and enslavement, famines and wars, white supremacy and climate crises, God is a companion in loss, a deliverer from evil, a lover whose touch restores. This is the promise they made to my ancestors, to me, to all the creatures and creations, now and yet coming. And in this promise I find my strength. Come, great healer, and be birthed through us. This is God's good news. Amen.
Amen. Amen. At this time, we will continue our worship through our giving. We thank you for the generous gifts that continue to pour in. And we remind you that it's the only way to sustain our ministries, that we might both maintain our physical sanctuary and also bless the world even beyond our own community. The ways that you can give are on the screen. You can give via text or online or through the mail. And in the link, we have put the ways that you can do that. And if you ever want to have a conversation about the ways that you are thinking about giving with one of the pastors, we would be happy to engage in that conversation with you. But we thank you for your generosity and for sustaining our ministries. At this time, we will have our closing song, Mary, Did You Know? Linda will lead us.
So if you love the song Mary, Did You Know? Don't despair, because someone named Jennifer Harvey has rewritten the lyrics, and I think they really fit just so well with what we talked about this morning, and I think is a really lovely and powerful redo of what actually is a really, really beautiful tune. So I invite us to sing these new words to Mary, Did You Know? Mary, did you know that your ancient words would still leap off our pages? Mary, did you know that your spirit song would echo through the ages? Did you know that your holy cry would be subversive word? That the tyrants would be trembling when they know your truth is heard? Mary, did you know that your lullaby would stir your own child's passion? Mary, did you know that your song inspires the work of liberation? Did you know that your jubilee is hope within the heart of all who dream of justice, who yearn for it to start? Mary, did you know that we hear your voice for the healing of the nations? Mary, did you know your unsettling cry can help renew creation? Did you know that we need your faith, the confidence of you? May the God that you believe in be so true. Mary, did you know?
So at this time, I'm going to send you off with a blessing. And then if you're able to stick around, we actually have a postlude. Kyoko Makino recorded Joy to the World for us. So for our sign off, we'll listen to that and wave to each other and put messages in the chat. So you're invited to stick around for that if you're able. As we approach the birth of Jesus, may you hear Mary's song and magnify God, the weaver of new schemes, and may you find opportunity to be an angelic troublemaker. Go in peace. Amen. Blessings, everyone. Have a great week.